Let's see if you can answer this. By the way, this sound lets me tap into your brain and show you how the parts work in your brain. Okay, now what about this?
I'm waiting here to see you. The whole town, every alley is a...
So you did get a lot of this, right? This feeling of being trapped by language isn't just limited to language you don't understand. So this very idea is what led this philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein to famously say, "The limits of my language means the limit of my words." Basically, he agrees with what we are about to discuss. To understand the limits of our language, we first need to understand what it actually lets us do. When you listened to the song, even if it was not in English, you felt something. Even when you didn't understand the words, you got the vibe. This vibe comes from something called prosody. It's just a fancy word linguists use for tone, pitch, or intensity of sound or speech, or in even simpler terms, it's how the words are said. This adds an extra layer of information to the meaning. Even if this seems like a simple concept, it brings us to idea of adding a dimension to communication. You see, we experience this world in one dimension, that's time. A piece of information is received per unit of time, that's our natural limit. But we have developed creative ways to pack more meaning into these limited moments. Let me show you. If this is the x-axis, the unchanging, strict and rigid, and this is the y-axis, then the limit is set by x-axis and freed by the magnitude of y-axis. The story is all about how much information we can add in y-axis per unit time of experience, that is x-axis. So prosody, the rhythm, tone, pitch of speech, is one powerful way of adding a dimension to this exchange. Basically, we have devised this way in which tone can be used to add extra information like emotional information in addition to the word meaning that the word represents. I will explain on this later on, but for the time, let's take a trip to our brain. The brain has billions of dense pathways and connections. Physically, they might just look like your average biological wiring, but functionally, each one could be something incredibly personal and specific, like a snapshot of memory. This one, your first day at school; that one, your first kiss; another one, your understanding of how a car works; and this one, that glorious aha moment when you figured out something new. All your ideas, your memories, your understanding of the world, from the basics of your weirdly specific understandings, are all tangled up in this intricate wave of neural connections. But there's no way, no matter how hard you try, to just zap this beautiful snapshot of thought straight into someone else's brain. That's one limitation. As Noam Chomsky put it bluntly, languages are not designed for communication, they evolved for thought. So, if this is the understanding you possess in your brain, to convey it, you would have to trace this entity as if you are walking through the surface of each connection one by one, sometimes needing to jump to a different place, making it more and more complicated. And to add to this complexity, any idea in reality is spectral in nature. Feelings, perception, ideas exist in shades in a continuum, but language forces us to choose discrete words to describe a continuous phenomenon, which is a fundamental limit. So, are you getting me? Part 4. How is the language spoken? Let me show you. We all know we produce sound by the vibration of our vocal cords. Now, every language we speak has a fixed set of basic sounds. These are what linguists call phonemes. You have heard them: ba, pa, ta, the usual suspects. Different languages have different sets. These phonemes combine in various ways to form morphemes, the smallest unit of meaning. So when we say words like bag, pack, time, we are actually stacking phonemes into meaningful blocks. Now here's the magic trick. We humans have assigned associative meaning to these blocks, and by combining these words we build syntax. Another word linguists use just to represent sentence. When you want to express any idea like pick up the jar, or something heavy or deep like I love you, you are really just layering phonemes into morphemes, into syntax, and into meaning. We all know this. Yeah. But what's really interesting is the biological side of it. Our neural networks are set up in a surprisingly similar way to how language is structured. Phonemes, the basic units of sound, can be represented by a specific group of neural connections responsible for producing or recognizing particular sounds. These smaller clusters of neurons combine in countless ways to form meaningful words. So now when we speak, we do something fascinating. We produce a continuous stream of sound with no actual gaps between words, yet our brain's understanding centers are exquisitely trained to separate the flowing sound into discrete words. This remarkable ability is called categorical perception, and this is hardwired into all of us from birth. It allows our brains to break down this fluid speech into recognizable phonemes, combine them into words, and then interpret the meaning. So when you are listening to someone, your brain is essentially running the reverse algorithm of speaking, from sound to phonemes, then words, then meaning. Part 5. In the language of physics. A sound can be manipulated in just two ways: frequency and amplitude. And this right here, this simple fact, is what creates the fundamental limit to language and how much and in what way information can be exchanged. You see, at any given cross-sectional moment in time, there's only so much you can transmit. Number one, the word itself, which is identified by frequency, and the emotional tone, which rides on the amplitude. Two channels. You see, at any given cross-sectional moment in time, the only information that can be conveyed is the semantic content of the word, represented by its frequency, as shown in the Forman frequency chart, and the emotional tone carried by its amplitude. And this gives us a clue about the evolution of language. It's unlikely we will ever see any fundamental shift, given there won't be any fundamental shift to the physics of vibration, not in the real world anyway. So all those sci-fi movies where people suddenly start communicating telepathically, physics says good luck with that. Unless we fit a chip in our brain to simulate impulses from hearing a sound. Otherwise, good luck with that. Part 6. Sideway extension. But we humans are incredibly creative creatures. Limitations have never really stopped us. They have just pushed us to grow sideways, branching out into other modalities of information exchange. The first major branch we developed was vision. If speech can transmit around 40 bits per second of information, the human retina can process an estimated 10 million bits per second. That's not just faster, it's a whole different universe of bandwidth. So if you want to share an idea in your head, sometimes it's far more effective to draw it. A single visual snapshot can deliver information that would take minutes or pages to describe in words. Maybe that's why ancient humans started painting on cave walls. The earliest impulse to draw might not have been driven by the desire to record, but by the need to communicate something that language at the time simply couldn't handle. We have extended this visual modality over time into motion pictures, 3D images, and much more. But at the core, it's all part of visual language, a mode of communication that evolved to pack far more meaning into a single moment than speech alone could ever do. Another branch we have developed, one that's truly unique to humans, is mathematics. A single equation quietly sitting on a page can hold an entire universe worth of information compacted into an elegant and precise form. Math is not just a tool, it's one of the most sophisticated languages we have created. What makes it remarkable is how it solves a lot of problems posed by the spectral, fuzzy nature of ideas. Where words struggle with ambiguity, math thrives in precision. It can quantify abstract concepts, strip away vagueness, and express a relationship in a way that is clear, consistent, and often universally understood. In that sense, it's less about communication between people and more about communication with reality itself. Part 7, Unidimensionality. As we discussed, we experience life one dimensionally, one thing at a time, 1 second at a time. Here lies the fallacy. Even though we feel it all at once, we can only convey it in the way we experienced it. That is, one thing at a time. That is what is the fundamental limit of language. No matter how vast the internal experience, the moment we try to express it through words is going to have to be converted into one dimension before you are able to show it, before you are able to share it. It gets funneled through a narrow channel. What was once rich and infinite becomes linear and partial. It's like trying to pour the ocean through a straw.